everybody, and welcome to the Movie Bears podcast. I'm Brad Harris, and each week, along with some of my favorite husky, hairy, huggable homos and friends, we review movies either current or classic on this show. And this week, we are pulling something from the current column. We are going to be reviewing DC League of Super Pets. Bit of a dry spell right now for movies. That was what we picked to review. We'll see what we think about this film. But before we get there, let me introduce you to my co-host, Jim Pugliafico, who is already laughing. I love it. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hi, I'm here, babe, and thank you. And you're right. We are in a bit of a weird spell right here after kind of the glut of like early summer movies. Um, all of those have kind of come and gone, or I guess there's some of them are still around. But yeah, now we're getting into that kind of lull between summer blockbusters and we're going to start ramping up and seeing more Oscar baity, Oscar worthy kind of movies, maybe in a couple of months or so. So yeah, that's where we are. So we're making the best of it.
We're bridging the gap between tentpole season and prestige season.
You got it.
Yeah,
Those are the
sure.
buzzwords. Yeah.
Well, William Lindis is also with us. Hey, Will, welcome back from vacation and a belated happy birthday.
Well, thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, no, it's exciting. Got a chance to explore the Boston area. So if you're one of our listeners from that area and I didn't get a chance to hang out with you, I'm sorry. I was too busy touring museums and aquariums and just doing all them fun touristy things. Though I did get a chance to meet up with friends of the show, Tom and Carlos, who live up in that area, and see a second screening of Nope up there at one of the theaters that Tom works at. So it was just a delightful trip. Batteries recharged and now ready to dive back in with another movie review.
Rock on.
Making me a little homesick, Will.
Yeah. I'm sure if I so I didn't quite go to Worcester, but I was sort of in the Newton area and we drove past Waterton.
Yeah.
You're probably going just like, I know these areas. I know them. I want
like
them.
Somerville Theater, the museums. Yeah. Boston's a great city to tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, we've got a movie, such as it is or isn't, question mark, to discuss for this week. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our format, we like to talk about movies spoiler-free for about 10, sometimes 15 minutes before we open up the can of spoilers and do a full-on review. So, if you are hanging out with us and you have not yet seen DC League of Super Pets, but you're kind of on the fence, you're looking for maybe a recommendation or not, we will be happy to give you our initial thoughts. And then we will give fair warning before we take things into spoiler territory so that you can step aside, jump ahead in the show if you're listening through the magic of digital tape delay, all that good stuff. We got you covered. Jim, Will, are you ready to pup up and away with our film review?
Indeed.
Yeah, pup up and away.
All right, here we go. Our discussion of DC League of Super Pets. All right, Jim, for anyone who's maybe unfamiliar with this movie, give us just a little bit of a brief setup, what this is, what it's about, spoiler free, of course, and your initial thoughts. What did you think? Is this a pass? Is this definitely go out, rush to see it? Is it in the middle? Where'd you come down?
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll dive right into the kind of the synopsis for this movie. DC League of Super Pets is what we're dealing with. Crypto, the super dog, and Superman are inseparable best friends, sharing the same superpowers and fighting crime side by side in Metropolis. However, Crypto must master his own powers for a rescue mission when Superman is kidnapped. So there you go. That's the setup of this animated feature, starring the voice talents of Dwayne The Rock Johnson. We've got Kevin Hart, Kate McKinnon in here. Lots of names you're going to recognize, lots of voices you're going to recognize. Yeah, so this one, it's put out by DC Entertainment and Warner Animation Group, WAG, which fits the movie, I guess. But so yeah, my impressions of this one is, look, it's playing in the same. This one's playing in the same sort of litter box as these other recent animated pet movies. The Secret Life of Pets, for instance, right? We've had recently, and that's a good one too. This one here, I don't know if it quite reaches that level, but it's pretty good at what it does. We've seen crypto in a lot of previous properties, of course, down through the comics, appearing with Superman, Superboy, appeared on TV, but not that much in the movies, right? So here, Crypto kind of gets his own movie with Superman, and we set this up with a villain and a mission, and away we go. I ended up liking this movie. I'm going to say that for me, this is unless you have kids, because I think this movie is definitely aimed at kids. I don't think it does anything groundbreaking in terms of like entertainment, just general entertainment for the adult set or the film, or film fans. I don't think you're going to find that. This is generally a kids adventure movie. I think it's well done for what it is, but don't look for anything to wow you in this film, because I don't think you're going to get it. At least I didn't. I would say that this one is, if you have kids in the family, or you want to go, have a nice matinee day out at the movies, definitely go see this one. Otherwise, I think this is definitely wait for streaming. It's cute, it works, but it doesn't really do anything beyond that. So yeah, that's generally my impressions.
So is this a soft recommend?
It's a recommend for streaming. It's not a recommend like
Okay.
go right out and see it.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you so much for weighing in. Well, how about for you? How did this one work for you?
Yeah, so I think I'm very much in alignment with Jim overall on this one. I think this is the type of movie that it doesn't really break any new ground. When I think about other recent animation films that I don't know, that maybe did, or at least did something that felt a little more creative, like The Bad Guys. We watched that one. And
Yeah,
talked about
that's
that
right
on the show.
Yeah.
And for a pretty straightforward like studio animation film, it did some things with its sort of like cell shaded style outlines and like some of the ways that the characters moved around that felt different enough. This felt like, I've seen this animation style a million times before. It's well done. It's very well done, right? It's executed well, but it didn't feel like it gave me anything necessarily new. That said, I had fun with it. It's good for, I think, if you have young kids, there are movies that feel as though they're like comedically subversive and like I can enjoy them as an adult. In a way that maybe my kids can't, or and maybe they'll enjoy it on a different level. This is very much geared towards kids, and that's okay. Like the story, the humor, everything is very accessible, I think, to an all ages group. I think if you do have kids and you're looking for something to watch with them, I think this is a good pick. I think this is a very solid pick. If you're looking for something just very light to just sort of get your mind off of things, I think this is a good solid pick there. If you're looking for something to really blow your mind and sort of do something different, or like kind of showcase like the hallmarks of creativity or whatever, I don't think that's what this is, but I don't think it's what it's trying to be either, so it's a little hard to bolt it there. The voice acting, I think, is fine across the board. I think pretty fun. I think that I've not been the biggest fan of Kevin Hart over the years, and I think a lot of that just comes from how I think how many properties he was in back to back to back to back for a few years there. It got burnt out by him pretty quickly. I liked his voice acting for this one character of Ace in this one. It felt, it still felt like Kevin Hart, but it still felt like he was doing something that felt grounded in the character. In fact, not the more I think about it, all the voice acting is really solid here. One of the standouts for me is I am a huge fan of Natasha Lyonne, and clocked her immediately. She did the voice of Merton the Turtle in this. She is absolute queer icon, and I think, if, for that reason alone, 10 out of 10 must go see. But aside from that, now this is a conditional recommend. If you've got kids, or if you feel like watching something that's very kid friendly, this is a good pick. Otherwise, probably wait for streaming.
All right, Will, thanks so much for kind of telling us where you're coming from here too. I think I'm in a similar vein as you guys. I feel like going into this movie, I didn't really think it was going to be very good. But I was kind of surprised. I actually had fun with it. I was entertained. It kept my attention, which is good. But I wouldn't say that this is like, I don't know, one of the best things I've seen this year. It's definitely not. But it has enough there, especially if you like the DC pantheon of superheroes. If you're into the Justice League, it's kind of fun to see what happens when the Justice League gets sidelined and super pets have to, come save the day. I think they did some interesting things with without spoiling, but like how the pets get powers. I don't even know if that was in the trailers, but the animals get powers, and it's up to them to kind of fight for the forces of good, I guess,
Spoiler.
right? Well, that part's
Animals
in the
have
trailer.
powers.
I mean,
That
look,
part is in the trailer. That part
I'm
is in the
kidding.
trailer. So I
Cool.
feel safe talking about that. I'm talking about how they get powers. I don't know that that's in the trailer.
there's something where we see the trailer shows an orange ring glowing we don't know what it comes from, but we see
Right.
this orange ring glow across a pet shop, and then you see each of them start to develop their powers.
Right,
But you don't
right.
know why it got there or why it caused the powers.
Yeah.
We just see boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. So we get this inciting event that gives powers to these animals, and then they go on adventures. I feel like this is a cross between like Homeward Bound and Justice League, and honestly, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with that. The voice acting was really stellar here. I enjoyed all the performances. I'm beginning to get a little Kevin Harted out. Is that a bad thing to say?
No.
I mean, I liked him as Ace, but it just at this point, Kevin Hart is so incredibly Kevin Hart that like all I see is Kevin Hart, and it really pulls me out of the film. But that's the problem when you are an iconic, actor and comedian, and
with a voice
you know,
that's very identifiable.
right, exactly. And I'll say the same thing with Dwayne Johnson. I don't know that he likes to be called The Rock anymore, but it was kind of pulling me out with him voicing Crypto, especially because he plays Black Adam, which is coming out in a few months, and I'm just kind of like, how does that work? But okay, whatever, it's fine. This is voice acting, it's all good. But yeah, this was fun. I would say this is a recommend if you're looking for something to see right now. There's not necessarily a lot out there. So yeah,
New.
that's new, but again, we see lots of movies. I think we see pretty much everything we want to see the weekend it comes out for the most part. So the fact that we were reaching for a movie to try and see and review for the podcast may not necessarily be everybody else's experience. I don't know if this one beats out going to see something else that came out within the last few weeks, but anyway, I think it's worth the fun in a theater, having your popcorn, especially on a hot summer day. Get into the air conditioning. Jim, you seem just burgeoning with words. What are they?
I mean, no, it's fine. I just you're right. We did kind of have to reach for something, new that we thought would grab us on the podcast and be fun to talk about. And so we dove into this one. And to be honest, like Look, I had some fun with this movie. There was some chuckles and in the way this, in the character interactions. I felt a little emotion. I didn't cry in this movie or anything, but like I felt the emotion between Crypto and Superman, and also Ace and I won't spoil any of that because we'll talk about that a little bit. But and the interplay between the characters I thought was really the best part of this movie. Where it kind of fell a little flat for me was like, I actually liked more of the old Yeller, sounder part of this movie, and I less than the Super Friends part of it. I thought that part was very, very generic.
Do you mean the
I
part where they took Ace the Hound out back and shot him?
well, yeah,
That was
thanks for we're supposed to spoil that, Brad. We got to wait to
yeah.
spoil it.
Well, I mean,
You
to
know.
be fair, you can get that from the context clues of the trailer, right? You know
Yeah.
that at least 2 or 3 of these pets are going to die by the end of the movie. It's just really
Yeah,
a matter of which members of the
ones?
Suicide
Right.
Squad are going to make it. No, that's not this movie by a long shot.
No, but I think when the action really got cranked up, and again, sometimes plot gets in the way of a good story, and I think there's some of that going on here. But I think some of the fans, like children, are going to want to see that plot. They don't necessarily sink their teeth into a nice, emotionally resonant story between characters. They like the action. They like the whiz bang of the kinetic stuff that's going on the screen, and I get that. And when you have a superhero movie, you're going to have a villain battle or several battles and stuff like that. And we'll get into that in spoilers too. But I think for me, for a movie to kind of go that extra mile, it's got to do more with the story. I wish this one did. I'll be honest. Yeah, Will, what you said, Natasha Lyonne, we love her too. Ever since Orange is the New Black, and all that stuff we've seen, she's amazing. Did not dig some of these characters all that much, to be honest, in the story. They were very kind of one-dimensional, I thought. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit. Like like Lulu and PB and Merton and Chip. A lot of these characters I thought were pretty one-dimensional. So I was surprised with the Batman voice. I did not pick that one out. I probably should have. I shamed myself for not identifying. I didn't. The problem is I didn't say, oh, who's voicing Batman? Because there was so many other voices going on. I thought it might have been like Will Arnett or somebody like that. But yeah, surprised to see who voiced Batman. I don't know if I should reveal it here.
No,
I guess it's in IMDb, so I guess I can say it, right?
I'll save it for spoilers, because that's not in the marketing. One thing that it also isn't in the marketing, and I've got a question for you guys about this, and also it's sort of a fun fact. So this is, I think, my first time to see a movie at an AMC in like years, right? Because I have Alamo Drafthouse here, and that's my go-to. And then the couple of times that I go to a non-draft house, I've got an indie theater and a Cinemark that I go to, and those are kind of my go-to. So I just don't end up out at the AMC very often. So I got to finally see for the first time the Nicole Kidman talking about how great movies are thing that I've heard people going like, oh my god, I hung out with Nicole Kidman. What's that?
We haven't seen that.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Oh,
the only time we went to an AMC was for IMAX for Top Gun, and I don't think they had that.
Yeah, so I've heard so many people say I'm getting ready to go hang out with Nicole Kidman before the AMC movie, and I finally got to see it. But outside the movie, there is a outside of the in the hallway, as you're going to the
auditorium, yeah,
there is one of those giant stands, and imagine this one is sort of four-sided, so if you were to fold a piece of paper into so it forms like a square, and it's about 6-7 feet tall on each side, several feet wide, and each one shows a different one of the main characters in this. But on the standee that was out in the hallway, it shows these characters as they appear at the very end of the movie, not as, if that makes any sense. So going into it, yeah. So in terms of like where to watch out for spoilers,
before
if
you go to
watch this movie, trailers are fine, but just avert your eyes if you see any standees at the theater, because it was super spoily. When we get here in a second, I'll say exactly what it showed.
Okay.
But I think you guys maybe are picking up what I'm putting down based off of that.
I think we are. And I think it's getting increasingly difficult to talk about this film without going into spoiler territory. So, Jim, Will, I see you both nodding along. I assume I have your consent to take us to Spoiler Town.
Yeah, do it to me. You got my permission. Anytime.
And Will, I saw your thumbs up. Perfect. All right. So here we like to take you to the part of the show where spoilers are a never-ending romp, if you will. If you value your innocence about the plot of DC League of Super Pets, this is your time to step away. If you're listening live, come on back in 24 minutes and 3 seconds for plugs. You don't want to miss those. Or if you're listening through the magic of digital tape delay on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, however you access your podcast content, use the time index in the show notes to go ahead and skip forward as needed. And then come on back after you've had a chance to see the movie and enjoy the rest of the discussion. All of that said, we like to call that the spoiler plate warning on this show. It is time. Here we go. Spoilers for DC League of Super Pets.
Yeah. Well, I'll spoil with the
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I was leaving a pause for Jim for the editing.
Just so I can find it. It's fine.
Okay. All right. Spoilers are officially fair game. Will, go ahead and bring us back to what you brought up before we made that jump cut.
Yeah. So the standee had the Ace in his Batman outfit and PB the pig in like the Wonder Woman outfit, and each side was a different one of the characters. So one showed Crypto just being Crypto the super dog, and it had some sort of like he's one super dog or some bullshit like little slogan like you see in these, right? One of them had Chip the Diego Luna squirrel, and he's just like a squirrel, just like doing like a little lightning thing, which is fine. That's in the trailer, so you don't know anything. But one of them has Ace dressed up in the Batman outfit, and the other one has PB dressed up in the Wonder Woman outfit. And again, it's League of Super Pets. It's not like the most egregious spoiler ever, but it was sort of cute at the end watching the movie, sort of seeing how all of the different characters sort of lined up with like the adopted Justice League character that they ended up with. And I don't know, like maybe there was just like one degree of that magic was taken away by that standee like out in the hallway right beforehand. I don't know if you guys had anything similar in your
theater. We have that same standee at the Galaxy Theater chain that we go to, and for me, I'm a big DC head, so I already knew that Ace was the Bat Hound and that PB was Wonder Pig. So seeing those for me like wasn't really that jarring, but I could definitely see how like if you didn't know that going in, maybe that could be a little off-putting.
Well, especially given the way that I knew Ace going in, and I don't know Lulu, I didn't know PB, but whatever. But like the movie itself kind of treats it like a reveal. When you see them at the
like
end.
A fun little reveal.
So if the movie itself is going to treat it, then the marketing should also treat it similarly, right? If the movie itself was like, this is an origin story of how they got to be there, then whatever, right? So it's one of those things where I feel like marketing was disconnected from what the movie was trying to do.
So I get the whole, I guess Bat Hound is a thing. I don't know. I've never heard of that before, but I did see, obviously he's got the ears all the way throughout the movie. He's got like the bat ears, like sticking straight up. So that's not, too much of a leap, but what the hell is Super Pig? I never even heard of that before. Like I didn't know there was such a pig-based superhero.
PB the Wonder Pig, Jim, not
Wonder
Super
Pig.
Pig. She's
What
Wonder Pig.
do I know? So what is it? Is it from is it from comics? Is that what it's from?
Yes. So PB the Wonder Pig dates back, gosh, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. We're talking like decades. She's not like a mainstay of Wonder Woman. Like, I've been reading Wonder Woman under the New 52, and I don't think I've seen PB Wonder Pig like actually as a pig. I've seen a reference that seems more like a head nod, but I mean, she's definitely a classic character.
Ah, okay. I'll see. I learned something.
Da-da-da-da. Anyway, but yeah, Will, no, that's a good point. Definitely. I don't know how many people pay too much attention to those standees. So hopefully, a lot of people weren't spoiled, but that's definitely something for sure.
I wanted to I didn't do it up front, but I wanted to call out some of the surprise voice talent that voices some of these characters that I did not pick up on in the movie, because I generally don't like to look at that stuff before I go into a movie like IMDb and see, hey, who's going to be in this movie, who's voicing this character, because it is fun to try to like to catch, to hear a voice of a character, animated character, and say, God, that sounds familiar. Who is that? I can't quite place it. They might be doing an accent or something, but in this movie there was some of that going on, but there was also some that was maybe too quick, like just went by so fast, like I wasn't able to have enough time with that character's voice. But we have besides the one we mentioned, we had John Krasinski doing Superman. Probably should have picked that one up. Characters like Keanu Reeves as Batman, which surprised me at the end because I wasn't paying attention much to Batman's voice. Other ones like with and a lot of these people and actors have very distinct voices that I should have picked up on. Jermaine Clement was Aquaman, which surprised the heck out of me. And Daveed Diggs as Cyborg, which was also very quick, and I didn't catch that. And Alfred Molina as Jor-El right at the beginning of the movie, right? And Lena Headey, right, from Game of Thrones as Lara. So yeah, there's a lot of cool voice talent throughout this movie. They all do a good job, and but there are some surprises in there. So hopefully, if you haven't seen the movie, you're not listening to this, and I'm spoiling all these voices. But I would recommend, if you want a fun time at some of these movies, even if the movies aren't fun, it's sometimes fun to figure out who the voices are behind the characters.
Yeah,
absolutely agree.
I wonder, I don't know. It's just doesn't feel like there's a ton to talk about here, so I feel like I keep kind of drifting into like adjacent territory.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'll go for it then.
No, go ahead, Will, if you got something topical.
Mine was really just like, I wonder if we're going to be sitting here and whenever it finally comes out, looking back at this as the best Dwayne Johnson DC film. I say that because I have some hesitation about the upcoming Black Adam film, just sort of based off of what I've seen from it so far. Who knows? It could still be good. It's just a trailer, but trailers are marketing and they're designed to get, to draw our attention. So I'm going to be really interested in seeing kind of like where this fits in the pantheon of Dwayne Johnson movies once all the dust is settled.
Well, they did try to address the like Dwayne Johnson as both Black Adam and Crypto thing with the stinger at the end. Did you stay for that? Yeah. So it was kind of interesting having him voice not just Black Adam, but Black Adam's dog and Crypto.
Every character in the scene.
I know, right? But yeah, I'm just kind of like, if they turn this into a franchise of films on its own, like, are we going to get a sequel? I don't know how much money the movie has made at this point, but it might get really confusing with him being both Black Adam and Crypto.
Where I could see this going is, and I think the best comparisons would be either something like How to Train Your Dragons or what Disney's doing with like Baymax or Doug from Up right now. But I think instead of seeing like another League of Super Pets movie, I don't know that I really. Again, I'm not the target audience, so my opinion doesn't matter. But here we are chatting about it anyway. I don't know that I'm really want to see another 90-minute movie of this, but like if there was like a television series that showed up on like HBO Max, because it's it's a Warner Brothers property, and maybe they were like 15-minute like animated shorts still geared towards kids, with each of the characters doing something heroic, but maybe just just like you can just sort of get in, tell the story, and get out. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be the same voice cast, but you could get people that approximate it pretty well. I think there's some cool stuff to happen there, and again, like the Baymax series over on Disney Plus, those are short little 5 to 10 minute long little episodes of just him helping a random person with their problems. And it's super cool. And it's about as much as I want to really spend time on that. So that's where I think I'd like to see this go.
Yeah, if this were like a cartoon series that was like Steven Universe-esque, where like each episode is like 14 minutes, it's bite-sized and digestible, I think that'd be probably perfect.
Bite-sized.
Bite-sized. And you could like showcase like each pet with their superhero, like a different adventure, every week or something. I think that would be great. I really loved watching Superman and Krypto fighting crime together. I have enjoyed that dynamic in the comics a lot. We've seen it in animated form in the past, and it's always such a, I don't know, just weird thing that Superman also has a super dog, and Supergirl also has a super cat named Streaky. Don't know if you know that. But we have all kinds of animals from Krypton showing up. There's even a super squirrel that makes an appearance at one point. But I like the camaraderie between Superman and Krypto quite a bit. I would watch more of that, certainly. So
yeah. Speaking of bite, I did enjoy. I don't know if enjoy is the right word. I did appreciate that they gave some backstory to Ace. Ace's backstory was heartbreaking.
Oh yeah,
movie. Like could borderline traumatic, like for people who love pets and maybe even for kids. He bites. He tries to save the little girl as a puppy and ends up biting her on the arm, and the parents think that he attacked her, so they have to send him to the pound or whatever. And that was awful enough, but I almost wanted that to come back around in this. I thought Brad and I were talking a little bit on the way home, and I'm like, why didn't they come back around and have him, or the super pets with him there, like rescue some people, and then have him see like this girl grown up maybe into like a teenager, and she has a scar on her arm, you know what I mean, from like the bite, and he has this question in his mind, is that the family, or is that the girl that that he knew growing up? I think that could have been a really poignant, maybe too poignant for this movie, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been cool to have that. I think
cool, but too precious.
Well, it depends how it was treated. It could have been really really well done. There's ways in writing you can make that not too crazy. But I don't know. I wanted this movie to explore more of the angle, but the relationship between humans and domesticated animals, right? And these animals were in a a pet shop or a pound for adoption. I think I wanted to explore that a little bit, but maybe that angle is a little too heavy for this movie.
I think if you want to watch like a poignant, heavy film about the relationship between humans and domesticated animals, I think there's another more sci-fi movie that's currently in theaters that you could check out, right? We may have reviewed it recently. I don't know. But no, I get what you're saying there, Jim. I just think that that's probably, I don't think that's what this movie was ever going to set out to be, right? Like, I think where this movie wanted its emotional resonance to be is in sort of that the main character of Crypto here is dealing with the fact that he is no longer going to be the sole orbit of Superman's universe when he's now about to bring Lois Lane into his life by proposing to her. And so now he has to deal with the fact that he has to share that attention. And how do you deal with that? And how do you operate amongst a group instead of just sort of as like this one duo? And he gets to learn that through the relationship with Superman and the relationship with his new friends. And it's not like it's not
well-worn stuff.
Yeah, it's not deep stuff, but I think that, you know, this is also content that is for, I would say that compared to a lot of the animated fare that even we review here, I think the age demographic on this skews a little bit lower. And because of that, this is probably the type of thing that would be very, very good content to share with someone who is maybe a single parent who is about to be remarried, or a family that it has a young kid who is about to welcome like a new child into the family, and they're no longer going to be the only child. Like, I think that there are still lessons that can be learned from this for a kid who, you know, yeah, it's well-worn property with all of us kind of in our, you know, not to date us, but 40s and up at this point. But you know, for a kid that's 7 years old, 6 years old, you know, who their media exposure is much more limited, I think there are still some nice little life lessons that you can glean from this.
I want to put a question out there. What do you guys think of the villain in this movie? And does this movie have a villain problem? How interesting is this villain?
I didn't really care about the villain that much, to be honest. But I mean, it was interesting, I guess, that it used to be a test subject of Lex Luthor and thought she had a friendship with Lex, and turned out, you know, she really wasn't anything to him.
Yeah, I thought that angle was interesting, how like we didn't make the villain the human, because the heroes in this story are not human, they're animals. So we made, you know, they kind of had the corollary on the other side where the villain is also an animal, kind of related in a way, you know, in Lex Luthor's orbit, right? So that was kind of cool, the way that symmetry there in the movie. But as far as like a character that you know, as far as villain character, I thought it was very, like, I don't know, just pretty thin for me.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't need it. Maybe you don't need it. I don't know.
I don't think you do. And I think mainly because this is a movie about our heroes, right? Like, this is a movie about this like ragtag group of characters, you know, one of which is an established hero. The rest are all kind of coming to their own, just figuring out their place in each other's world. I think, you know, like the Lulu character, you know, I think it's kind of interesting, you know, that she was a test subject of Lex Luthor. She's a Lulu, like Lex Luthor. She's hairless, you know, like, you know, and like he's famously bald, you know. Those little things are fun little nods that, you know, again, they're pretty surface level, but, you know, they're not super deep, but they're fun. And the villain, we got to see her like kick some ass, you know. She like, you know, she put the hurt on the Justice League in their own different ways, and you know, recruited her little army of superpowered guinea pigs, which were, I thought, visually fun to see whenever they were zipping around doing stuff. Like, there was always something sort of entertaining to watch there. I don't know. Yeah, again, it's one of those ones where it's like, yeah, I guess technically it has a villain problem, but at the same time, I don't know that. Like, when I think about villain problem, I think about like the Marvel Phase 1 movies that had a real big villain problem, you know, but those were different works of art that were trying to tell different types of story where the villain needed to play a different role. I think here she's just a part of the fun to give us some fun set pieces for our more interesting characters by design to spend more time with.
Maybe it's just because maybe my problem with the guinea pig villain and villain team is that I've owned many, many guinea pigs that I've loved over the years, and to see them turn into villains just bugged me. Maybe that's it.
Not all of them turned into villains.
Yeah, that's
Mark
true.
and Keith.
Yep.
Kind of, yeah.
Mark and Keith.
But they were so like wrapped up in their physical forms. Like one was like fire and the other one's ice or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like those two voice actors, Thomas Middleditch and Ben Schwartz. It was fun seeing those. I did not really like Thomas Middleditch on Silicon Valley, but I've started to come around a little bit more on him more recently. I think he's a better voice actor than he is a live action actor.
What did you guys think of this whole conceit of like taking Crypto, who is famously the super dog, and making him not have powers for 3/4 of the movie?
Yeah, I mean, it still was a Crypto movie, really. I mean, he's really the main character. I mean, they do that with Superman all the time, right? A lot of properties, like and they did it in this movie as well, right? They'll throw some kryptonite on him, and he's for 2/3 to 3/4 of the movie, he's down. He's it just gives him, and it sets him up to kind of rise from that position and become the superhero that he is. And they did the same exact thing, I think, to Crypto here. I think that's really what it was. I mean, we've seen that, right? I mean, where in a lot of Superman properties, kryptonite is a big deal, and they use that as a character device to kind of knock him down so that he can then rise in the climactic moments to become the superhero again.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. It's like, have we seen this, like, hero is depowered, therefore he has to learn a different way of tackling a problem that used to be easy for him? Have we seen that a billion times before? Sure. But again, skews for a younger audience. They may not have seen that. And it let this be, yes, it's about Crypto the super dog, but it let us focus on the dog part of it instead of the super part of it, and kind of how we got to learn more about his personality through his shortcomings, through just seeing him like go out and like Superman it up, so, and we got to see plenty of that at the book end too. We got a lot of.
Didn't they even come up with like a pet version of kryptonite in this movie? Wasn't there like a special like yellow version or orange version?
Well,
or something?
orange kryptonite is what gave them their powers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they fed him something in the cheese. What was that?
Well, that was green kryptonite.
Was it green? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what took his powers away. I mean, it should just weaken him, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
If she'd fed him blue kryptonite makes you into a normal human or a normal dog, as long as it's in contact with your body. But
maybe she put some blue in there too. I don't know. It's
monkey.
I'm guessing probably what they did there was I would not be surprised if somewhere there's a rough script of this where the original thing showed her putting some like blue kryptonite in there, and then someone said, now we're going to have to explain blue kryptonite for this one passing thing.
We've already got 3 other colors.
Let's just make it green and call it a day for this movie.
Yeah. That's too bad, but I mean, I get it. I would just like to say, if I ever have a pup, be it human or actual dog, I think I'm going to name it Bark Kent. That was pretty good.
That's
Bark Kent. Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was cute. And I did I wish they'd played with it a little bit more. I think we only saw 2 scenes of it. I did enjoy. I thought it was the funniest thing that the Crypto character, and even like the way that the Dwayne Johnson delivered the line, was whenever he was doing this, "Hello, citizen. I am just a normal dog named Bart Kent. Do you have any?" Like that was funny because it sort of plays up the whole like, Clark Kent is the alternate alternate identity thing, but I don't know, makes it more pointed. I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah.
I have a hard. This is one of those movies that's like, it's really hard to like for me to have a ton of faults with this one,
No.
because it's like, it feels like it is one of those, like, one, again, it's not necessarily like a Into the Spider-Verse style like work of art that I need to like exalt or anything like that, but at the same time, like, the audience that it's for is going to have a fun time with it, and the things that maybe feel a little trite to me are also ultimately harmless given that target audience. So I don't know. It's like, sometimes it's fun to sort of like take the piss out of a movie, but this one just feels like it's, I don't
No.
know. It's
I
hard
don't
to
think
take the piss out
I
of.
don't think this movie deserves that, right? I think it's fine entertainment for what it is, and I just think we're reaching a little bit, just like we reached to go and watch this movie. But I think this movie delivers on its promise, and that's really all you can ask for it.
Yep, I absolutely agree. All right, fellas. Well, how do you feel about moving on to some plugs as we look to wrap up
Sure.
for this week? Right.
Yeah.
Sweet. Then we will officially move forward. This is the part of the show where we put things on your radar that we love and think maybe you might love as well if you give them a chance. And let's start with Will this week. Will, what's your plug?
Hey, so my plug is for another movie that came out this week that I think is a stronger movie, but it's for a different audience. So I mean, it's hard to recommend in it. Watch this instead of that. The movie is called Vengeance. There's a written review that I've got up on our website and on Facebook as well that goes into more detail. But this is a movie. Written by, directed by, and starring BJ Novak, who you might remember as the guy who played the intern on The Office. And this is a movie about, this dude. He's sort of like, he writes for the New Yorker, sort of like a shallow, dates just a bunch of random people, kind of pseudo-intellectual style guy. He ends up getting this call, and this girl that he hooked up with a couple of times, but he didn't even have her full name in his phone, kind of like that's where it comes from. He gets a call from her brother because she's dead in Texas, and through some sort of miscommunication, like, the family thinks that they were closer than they were, and needs him to come down to the funeral. And while he's there, he decides that, hey, what if I did like a podcast, like a serial-esque podcast about like what happened to her, and like maybe there was a mystery to her death or something like that. And so it really explores all of that. So it's a little bit of a mystery, maybe a black comedy. Boyd Holbrook is in this, and he's super good. A lot of the cast in this is really good. And this movie feels like the most Texas movie that I've ever seen. It features major scenes that happen at a Whataburger. Like, this movie understands.
I was going to say, it doesn't
like,
get any more Texas than that.
It doesn't get much more Texas than that. This is the type of movie that understands that, when you live in a small Texas town, you want nothing more than to get outside and do literally anything else than live in a small Texas town. But you will spit in the face of anyone who insults the small Texas town that you come from, and understands where that dichotomy and that frustration and some of the weird conspiracy theories that you end up wrapping yourself up in come from when you come from that type of environment. I say all this as someone who comes from Texas and has lived in, maybe not quite as small, but has lived in small Texas towns and understands. So, it's not a perfect movie. This is a directorial debut for features for BJ Novak. But I think it's very strong, and I think there's an audience that's going to like it. It's in theaters right now. Focus Features has it, so it'll be on streaming, within the next like month and a half, I think. If you want to wait for it, by all means, or if it's not playing near you. But it's called Vengeance, and I would recommend it.
All right. Well, I don't know if you saw, but we had a comment in the live chat from James. Hey, James. Says, happy late birthday, Will. Nice job with the Vengeance review. Putting it on my list to watch. So you've already turned one person onto it, Will.
That is that's one of my, that at this point, this is one of my like highlight birthday gifts. Just knowing that like you've got it on your watch list because you heard me talk about it. Thank you, James.
All right. Excellent. Jim, I think you were about to say something.
No, I just said there's one guy named James. Maybe there's another guy named James who wants to see it now. Well, this movie kind of really snuck up on me. Like, I didn't like this came out of the blue, and I'm really shocked. I was just looking at movie listings for like Cinemark, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure this movie probably isn't playing in the big theaters, right? And I pulled it up, and Cinemark is one of the Cinemarks here, at least, has it. So I'm kind of surprised that it's here. So I don't know. It sounds kind of interesting, Will. The way you describe it sounds like it could be fun. I mean, how bad can it be? It's about a guy who wants to do a podcast, right? So, like, I mean, how could it be? So, yeah. Thanks, Will. I might be checking this one out if I get some time.
All right, excellent. Sweet, Jim. What have you got for your plug this week?
Well, you guys know that I'm a total whore for documentaries, and we have a new documentary series that has come out on the Disney Plus app, if you have Disney Plus, and it's called Light and Magic, and it's about the creation and the amazing things that went on at a company called Industrial Light and Magic, which was created specifically for back in the mid 70s to produce the Star Wars movie, the first movie and several sequels, I'm sure, right? And I'm only 2 episodes in. I knew about Industrial Light and Magic, right? I heard about them, that they were, the wonder kids of special effects that brought all this amazing stuff to the screen in Star Wars, the first movie, now called A New Hope. But I was, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but back in 1977 when Star Wars came out, I don't know if I can describe the feeling of somebody who liked to go to movies when they saw Star Wars on the screen for the first time and experience kind of the buzz and the word of mouth and experiencing that movie. But it was amazing, and the special effects, of course, were a huge part of that. So Light and Magic is I don't know, 6 or 8 part documentary series about the creation of Industrial Light and Magic, the people who made it happen. And it's pretty amazing for like an engineer like me, because a lot of these guys were like tinkerers, artists, photographers. Some of them were, just were able to, their skill was they were a great machinist or a great model maker or a great matte painting drawer. And they invented not just special effects, but they invented some of the equipment. I mean, they actually invented cameras, special cameras that gave us some of those amazing shots. Just think of the shot of, the opening shot of Star Wars with the Star Cruiser, flying over, and how they created that. This is kind of an amazing series for any film geek, whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, whether you're a George Lucas fan or not. I mean, this has some great insights into how innovations are made within the film industry. So it's called Light and Magic. It's on Disney Plus. I would say check it out if you have access.
All right. Awesome. Very cool. I have gotten to see a little bit of the show with you. I haven't watched the whole thing, obviously. Right. We kind of dipping in and out, but it was really interesting seeing how the magic behind the AT-AT walkers in The Empire Strikes Back worked. I knew that it had been filmed in stop motion, but I hadn't realized just how many fucking, excuse my language, pictures they had to take to make that whole sequence work. It was kind of brilliant,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people would undertake that for a modern day project now that we have CGI and all that stuff, but pretty freaking cool.
But and all of it was driven by a vision, right? A vision that George Lucas had, and he didn't know how to do it. Like he didn't tell these guys like, oh, you need to do this, and this. He just said, this is what I see in my mind. Now go create it, make it happen. And these were the amazingly talented, hardworking, and smart people that could bring those visions onto film. And it's that's what this series is about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, my plug this week is also Star Wars related, but my plug is not a movie. My plug is actually a game that came out all the way back in 2003, but was released for Nintendo Switch about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that game is called Knights of the Old Republic. Some people call it KOTOR, or KTOR, depending on if you think that the O of should be abbreviated, whatever. In any event, this game I feel like is the Star Wars movie that I've always wanted to see. I actually just finished playing this game. It took me about 40 hours to complete. Kind of awesome that it's on the Switch, even though it's a 20-year-old game at this point, 19 years. And it shows in some ways. I mean, its graphics are definitely dated, but it's available for $14.99 on the Nintendo Switch store right now. And if you're looking for something Star Wars related to plug 30 to 40 hours into, it has one of the most engaging and twisty stories of an RPG that's ever been done, I feel. As long as you haven't been ruined on the big twist in the story. It has been 20 years since this game came out. I don't know if you have heard about this game before or talked about it, but there is kind of a big twist in the story that I won't reveal. But even if you have been spoiled as to what that twist is, it's still a really fun game. The story is really engrossing. The combat is all based on D&D. So there are roles happening behind the screen that dictate whether you hit and how much damage you do. The stats for your character you allocate just like you would for a Dungeons & Dragons character. It's kind of brilliant in the way that they set it up. So available for Switch right now. If you're in the Star Wars hole and you're looking for something to fill that gap, Knights of the Old Republic.
You mentioned Star Wars hole, and it got me thinking of kind of the soft-core porn version of KOTOR called NOTOR, which is Knights of the Old Republic, NIGTS, NIGHTS, right?
It's
Knights
like
of the Old Republic. NOTOR.
It's like Baywatch nights, during the day,
right? Yeah.
The Jedi are doing Jedi things, but at night they're like undercover investigators, like in the seedy underworld of, Coruscant. Could totally work.
And it's a porn version of the Star Wars theme. Done by John Williamson.
Wow. I mean, I scoff, but at the same time, like, there are Star Wars porn parodies. Hell, even Zack and Yuri Make a Porno, that movie that came out, was the porno they made, and that was a Star Wars parody.
Yeah.
So all right.
We'll
but
see what happens.
It's awesome to see you enjoying that game so much, babe.
Thank you. I've been playing it enough, in your orbit that you've seen a little bit of it. Mm-hmm. So when I say the graphics are dated, you know exactly what I mean. People have square noses, literal square noses. It's weird, but so worth it.
2003 graphics, but whatever. Like, the Switch is an amazing system because it lets you like take these new and old games and carry them around with you and just sort of like, I don't know, just sort of breathe new life into things. So yeah, I'm all for it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so crazy. There's a KOTOR subreddit that I discovered, and there are thousands of people who never played the game on its original run, either because they weren't born yet or because they just didn't get into it, that are enjoying the game right now. It makes me really want to get into like a lot of other retro gaming. So thank you, KOTOR Switch. Appreciate it. All right, folks. Well, that about wraps us up for this week. In case people want to chat with us between now and our next recording, Jim, where can people find you online?
Find me online on my Twitter at JJPOutWest, my initials at JJP Out West, and on Facebook under Jim Pugliafico. And of course, we have the Movie Bears podcast Twitter at MB. What is it, Brad?
MB Podcast.
MB Podcast on Twitter as well, at MB Podcast.
Indeed. Awesome. Will, where can people find you?
So Twitter, Instagram, I'm at Whatever Cove. I'm on Facebook, William Lindis, send me a message first. I'm on Letterboxd, William Lindis there as well. I'm on TikTok at the Movie Bear, and I just got a message from my agent. Oh yeah, I'm up on IMDb now as a new cast member on Knights of the Old Republic. It looks like I'm playing Han Solo. Cool.
Han Solo.
Han
Nice.
Solo.
So you can reach out to me there, I guess.
Who's your companion? Chewbacca?
It's Chewsaka.
Chewsaka. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Folks, you can find me on Facebook. Just look for Brad Harris. I'm the one with Chub Chaser Bear Friends in common with you. Send a message first so I know you aren't a cleverly designed bot. And you can also find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at iBradPro. Like iPad Pro. What? It was all I could think of. Don't come at me. Anyway. All right, folks. We'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.